live again. Good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. Hope you're all good. It's not that one. I need to move that over here out of the way. And just check this is working again. Is that? Yeah, fantastic. Anyway, good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this fine Wednesday evening. And you might be thinking, what's the good news? Well, there is a bit of hilarity going on in Scottish football tonight because Derek McInnes, we'll get the funny stuff out of the way first and then we'll get on to transfer, the serious stuff. But Derek McInnes has been banned for 4 games. 4 games, yes, and the Heart and Hand podcast is taking umbrance to it. Derek McInnes has been banned for 3 months, the touchline ban, with another one suspended until the end of the 26-27 season by the Scottish FA. Absolute joke. He was only saying what everything was with working eyes thought, and as you'd expect, sorry, your eyes don't work properly, David. Get well soon. Dry your eyes. It is hilarious. Let me just see if I could do this. I need to go this way, won't I? That is the post that they put on the land of Twitter. I don't like that overlay. I'm going to need to sort that out because we do like using a bit of overlays. But anyway, that is the good news. McInnes will be banned, and I think it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious, but it's maybe not the good thing that he's banned. And that is the good news for the night. Held for review. I don't know why it's the messages have been held for review, and yeah. And one of the other funny things from last night, and I went look. Well, I didn't go looking. I didn't have to look hard. I went onto the land of Twitter, and it seems that the wee Huns, as they're called, Hearts fans, were singing last night when they're getting beat 4-0 in Europe. They started chanting "F the SFA," as if it was the SFA's fault. Anyway. As if it was the SFA's fault. Anyway, it's disgustingly hilarious. That's what I think. And that's what James has written also. Right, when we get to the medical booked, Dice Maida has his medical booked. He is leaving Celtic, which opens up the question, are Celtic, and this is one of the strangest things ever, are Celtic really waiting to bring money in before we start backing Martin O'Neill? Now, fans have suggested that this might be the policy from the club. It's been the policy over a number of years. Sell a player, waiting to see what happens with Arne Engels, because he's a player that's been wanting away for, well, since last year, since we got the big offer in for him. There's a lot of movement still to be had on players to leave the club this window. Whilst Celtic may be trying to bring in 3 players this week, it's certainly not enough to appease the fans, and it's certainly not enough to make the squad better, especially now that Dice Maida has left the building. In fact, he's not even left the building. He's not even coming back to Celtic for after the World Cup. It makes you think about players that we've been linked with today. Today we have been linked with a player from Dundee United. We have also been linked with another player that may be good enough for Celtic at left back, but being linked with Will Ferry of Dundee United. It was Tosh McKinley who had scouted Will Ferry for Celtic, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But when you think of the younger players, when you think of, we've been linked with James Penrith, we've been linked with Will Ferry. When you think of some of the younger players that have came through Celtic in the last couple of years, and you would think to yourself, we let players go too soon. We definitely let a lot of our younger players that we deem aren't good enough if this is the level of player that we're now going to bring in, and Joseph Davidson saying, if we're singing Penrith, I'm chucking it. I get that, mate. I do get that, because I think that we have let better players from the academy leave over the years. Players that have went on, that are now at the 20, 21, 22, 23 age, that could have done a fine job for Celtic. Whatever's going on at Celtic this year, a lot of people have been saying, they said last year, McKinnon's got a 4-month ban for the karaoke. If only. If Celtic are going down the road that many said this last year when Brendan Rodgers didn't get money to spend. The board are going to bank the cash and they're going to spend it on the next manager. It looks like that's what we're doing this summer. Waiting on Dice and Maeda being sold, getting that deal done, and then we start bringing in players. We've known that we needed replacements in since the end of last season. The manager wanted to get players in before pre-season. He reiterated towards the end of last season, or even during the season when he was at Celtic, that it would be great to get these players in a pre-season. We're now come to the end of pre-season. It is Wednesday, the 22nd of July. Celtic play our first game in just over 2 weeks. In fact, it's less than that. It's about a week and a half away. So Monday just passed. It was the 2 week period until the start of the season. Bringing in players that don't really know each other. Bringing in players that, if you're going to make tactical changes to the squad, if you're going to do set pieces, we've brought in a set piece specialist. If you're going to do these little intricate set pieces at corners, wouldn't you be better to get in all the players? Because there's no use setting up these set pieces with the likes of Arne Engels if he's going to leave. Rio Hatate, he's not even getting into anything, is he? We seem to be hindering ourselves for the season ahead. Now, I hope it'll all come together over the next couple of weeks. I hope it'll come together before the qualification game for the Champions League. Hearts getting beat last night shows you that the league isn't as good as what some people think when it comes to European context. And I'll tell you one thing, better we painful at Dangermouth, for fuck's sake. Yeah, we probably would be rather than Penrith, wouldn't we? But anyway, what does it say about the younger players that are at Celtic? Although Martin O'Neill has given them a chance and an opportunity throughout pre-season, it makes you wonder just how many of these players will actually get a chance when the season commences in just under 2 weeks' time. Will Celtic make an announcement before Friday? Well, you're kind of hoping so, weren't you? Dice Maeda, he has... we've had more links than a butcher's shop. Yeah, bloody bye. No, I think that I've stayed away with the players that we've been linked with over the majority of the closed season. And rightly so, it turns out, because we're not getting any of those players. When you look at the fact that we've got this German player now, he's coming from the second division in Germany. I don't know really how good he will be. We're going to pay £2.5 million for him. It is a bit of a... Is it a downsizing? I mean, we brought Yang in, and Yang wasn't the be-all and end-all, was he? We tried to get rid of Yang last year and it didn't work. And then this year, we give Yang an extended contract for, 5 years or something they got? Ridiculous amount of contract. Seemingly Penrith has let the blisters heal. All the marching he's been doing. Yeah, and don't really want him at Celtic either. Long time... what's that one? For a long time, it has not come together before the Champions League qualifier, says Brian. Yeah, and that is my big worry about the season ahead. Can Celtic pull it together? Can Celtic get in the players? Can Martin O'Neill, more to the point, can Martin O'Neill get the players to gel? And this is the big question. But anyway, Bar seems Brewer seems like a Fozzie done the scouting. Fozzie knows the German leagues pretty well. Do you think that that might be the case? That's a Fozzie player? That's an interesting one. Can we keep Alistair Johnson at Celtic to resolve? Celtic's resolve is going to be tested. I think that one comes down to Alistair Johnson. Don't know, he said if he's given the opportunity to stay at Celtic, this is Alistair Johnson's own words, I'm not making this up. Alistair Johnson did say if he's given the opportunity to stay at Celtic for the rest of his career, he would love that. He would say that it means I'm doing something right. But he did also say if the board see fit to sell me on, then so be it. I don't think Alistair Johnson's kind of pushing the narrative of wanting to leave Celtic. I think if there's so many questions to be answered over the next couple of weeks, the will you, won't you with Callum McGregor. Personally, I think that Callum McGregor will stay at the club. I think that Alistair Johnston will stay. I can't see him moving on because I can't see Celtic paying the money for the little Mexican that we had at Celtic. I just can't see that happening at all. And it's okay saying that, okay, you might get him for 25 grand a week. If he's on 50 grand a week, he's not really wanting to lose 25 grand a week, is he? I mean, he could just stay at the club he's at rather than sort of forcing a move. If you were him, maybe he's been told to get another club. The young players, if not good enough, get a chance pass. Donovan, etc. Just find it hard to keep a lot of them not standard. As simple as that, says DJ Kev. Yeah. Brian says we've had more links than an armpit. Yeah. Maybe we sent Shin Yamada to spy on the second tier in Germany, and then where is Shin Yamada now? I don't know. He's off, isn't he? Anyway, as it stands, the Celtic team, as it stands this evening, Daiz Maida is still in the squad. When you look at the players that we do have, Alistair Johnson will be back for the game this weekend, as will Tony Ralston and Kieran Tierney. So that will see Colby Donovan pushed to the sidelines. Colby Donovan he'll know that he's had his run of games in pre-season. It's now time to let Alistair Johnston back in to that position. And I've got to say that Colby Donovan's a good player to have as backup. So is Tony Ralston. There's a question still to be asked about Tony Ralston going into the last year of his career. We'll also see, is Austin Trusty back yet? Is Trusty back in training? I'm not too sure. The midfield, will we lose Rio Hatate? Paulo Bernardo isn't the answer. Callum McGregor. Arne Engels will be disappointed that he's still here this week. Obviously, with a lot going on at Celtic, he will be sitting saying to his agent, look, what is happening? Are there teams going to be putting bids in? There's obviously, his agent will have been talking to other teams, and I don't even think that there's been an offer made for Arne Engels as it stands right now. I think that's a hard one, because that's the one that there could be a bit of bidding for. But then again, we thought there was going to be bidding for Daiz Maida. I said if we get 15 million for Daiz Maida, it'd be a good piece of business. Celtic were obviously trying to get 15 to 20 million. I think they were a season too late for that. 10 million value for money? From Ipswich's point of view. But we move on from that. And then when you look at the forward situation, you've got Mikael Ange Balak-Wisher is going to be playing in. Do you know who's not in the team yet? What is going on at Celtic? They've not got Duran on the team sheet yet. Didn't we sign him like over a week ago? Yeah, Duran's not on the list of players. Poof. Anyway, there we go. A little bit of a shot. It's no surprise, is it? Ipswich population, 180,000. It's not a village, it's a big place. I never said it was a village. Stephen, I don't think anybody said it was a village tonight. I said that Dyson Maeda may be going to stay in a quaint little village. He'll not stay in Ipswich. Not a chance he'll stay in Ipswich. He'll stay in one of these wee villages, these quaint little villages away from the town. There's not a chance, if that's what you're digging up about. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that one up. Does anyone want Hatate? Seems he hasn't done himself any favours. We've not had any bid from him. Thought Ralston signed a new deal. Maybe that was gossip. No, he's not signed a new deal. And when you go to Transfer Mart, it still says that oh, there we go. Look at that. Who says that Google doesn't listen to you? When you look at Transfer Mart, it still says that his contract runs out in 2027. Runs out the end of May. 31st of May 2027. So there you go. And Tony Ralston's only valued at around about 2 million quid. In fact, he's not. He's valued at around about 1.2 million pounds. What a shame for Tony Ralston. Mind you, there was a long time ago he was valued at 400 grand. So even at 19, he was valued at 500 grand. Back in 2018, when he broke into the first team squad. Just shows you that Tony Ralston has been around. Did you forget that Tony Ralston's been at the club? Tony Ralston came through the system with Kieran Tierney. Came through the same team as Kieran Tierney. The Bricky's mate is in negotiations. Are you Scottish? Last deal Ralston signed was 2013. Yes, it was. That was the contract extension, 2013. So Tony Ralston, it looks like he will be gone at the end of this season. Brrr. Just going through some of the comments. You need a good YouTube guy, Baz, to apply to take Nancy Welcome off YouTube. Oh mate, I'm far too busy to try and do any work with Celtic, trust me. Celtic wouldn't be one of my biggest clients, that's for sure. Ralston is as good as Johnson, and don't see a massive gap between the ability watching them play. One thing that does my nutting with Johnson and low crosses, talking about Alistair Johnston. Oh, and Alistair Johnston's a fully fledged well, so is Tony Ralston, isn't he? Ooh. I think the Brewer is a direct replacement for Hatate, says Michelle. Yeah, well, he's a midfielder. He's played in midfield, so I don't see him playing in any other position. And I think, is he a replacement for Arnie Engels? Or are Celtic going to go out and have to bring in someone else? Ralston made his debut against Barca. Kept Neymar quiet at Paradise. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? The board are trying to get certified Tampax. I should really read the whole comment before I put it up. Oh, but that's a good one. Scoops is the cracker, as they say. Anyway, the funny news bit is tonight is the funny news section that we're talking about is the fact that Derek McInnes has been banned for 4 games, and that Celtic are still waiting on their first announcement. They don't have. Maybe they're going to change Dyson Maeda and Duran. Duran's not even in the squad. Never mind. Sure they'll get round to it at some point this week. He's more a defensive midfielder. He's a defensive midfielder and an attacking midfielder. Do you think that he's... Well, don't tell me he's going to be a replacement for Paulo Bernardo and we're going to let Paulo Bernardo go. I mean, how many holding midfield players do we need? We've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, we've got Callum McGregor. Is Callum McGregor getting ready to leave Celtic? And that's why we're bringing in, don't tell me we're bringing in an inexperienced German to hold. Come on, when was the last time that we used a really inexperienced? Nah, I don't buy that at all. Don't buy that at all. An inexperienced young German to come in and play the position that Neil Lennon played, that Paul Lambert played, that Scott Brown played, and then Callum McGregor played more recently. Jesus, is that how far back we're going? I've got a worry right now. I've got a worry that this season, when you think back to the Ronnie Dyler season, now for us that ran buses and us that went to the games at the time, it was the best 2 seasons ever. It was a fantastic time. You know, the football might not have been great, but the banter at the football, the getting tickets and everything associated with that was just amazing. It was off the scale. I think that Celtic, and I didn't want to suggest this until the end of the transfer window, but by the way that it's looking from the outside, I think that Martin O'Neill is just caretaker mode for the year. I think we kind of knew that anyway, but I think that more that these transfers, and you look at the fact that we've got all this money in the bank and we're not going to spend any of it. You know, we've brought in 5 million already from the sale of players, just over 5 million. We've just brought in another 10 million, so we're 15 million up this season. Surely, I mean, we spent, what did we spend on George? What did we spend? 5 million on him, so we're kind of broke even at that point. So we've got 10 million to spend. Surely that gives the board the wee kick up the arse and go, right, there's 10 million coming in. Oh, we could buy 3 players with 10 million quite easily. Surely they'll get that piece of business done and dusted this week so that the bank balance just, you know, there's not a lot of movement within the bank. But then again, you never know. It's Celtic that we're talking about. Ralston is as good as Johnson. Lay off the hard drugs. It wasn't me that said it. It was one of the commenters. Will Hatate return to Japan if no one comes in for him? You need to get a club from Japan to make an offer. Will a club from Japan pay 2 million quid for Rio Hatate? At the end of the day, I think that's all you're going to get for Rio Hatate. Roughly about 2 million quid. I can't see us getting much more than that, which is a shame because over the years, Hatate's been a fantastic player, but he's just so lazy. And his attitude, it's kind of hard to see what kind of club. Hatate's made comments. He's made it known that he wants to play in the top 5 leagues. I think that when you have scouts that are looking at Hatate and they see the lackadaisical way that he plays football, the way that he's, you know, is he in the mood? Is he not? I don't think that he'll get a move to about. I can't see anybody from England coming in, not from the Premier League. That ship's sailed. I don't think that you'll get anybody from France coming in from. Definitely not Spain. You're not getting anybody coming in for Rio Hatate from Spain. I think that Rio Hatate will really struggle. You know, I know that we turned down a £10 million bid for him a couple of seasons ago. That was the worst thing that Celtic ever did. Was turn down 10 million for Hatate, and mind you, it never really came out who that 10 million was from. I've always said, says Neil, I've always said that boy takes Calmark's position. Has to be Scottish or experienced in our league, like Lennon. But Lennon wasn't Scottish and he wasn't experienced in our league. There's only one boy out that can take that position, and that is Lennon. Oh, you're talking about Lennon Miller. Lennon Miller, not Neil Lennon. Celtic aren't going for Lennon Miller. No way, that ship sailed. We missed that boat, and that's never. Palma and Rocky money too. Yes, Palma. We got three. We got good money for Palma. Good money, and then we got a couple of million for Rocky. We made a couple of million loss, 2.75 million loss on Rocky, but We need a player like Rooney who gets stuck in to players, proper scrapper. That's why I think the German's going to be playing further forward in, I think, Arne Engels' position, which will be a bit of a shock because, mind you, the last time that we brought in a player for 1.5 million, let's just put it out there, Matt O'Reilly wasn't a superstar. He was 1.5 million from MK Dons. He left Fulham. He trained alone for 6 months. He wasn't destined to hit the big time. He came to Celtic and Aaron Moy kept him out of the team. And if it wasn't for Aaron Moy going into early retirement, it could have been a completely different season for Matt O'Reilly. But Matt O'Reilly stood up to the match. So I think that the German coming in is a direct replacement for Arne Engels. There we go. Forget waiting on bids. Release Hatate. See where he lands. Boomerang him. Time to move him on, but he's a good player. But like you said, very lazy, says Big Paul CFC. I don't think the real Hatate won't go. He's not showing performances that clubs will want. Yeah. It's kind of hard to see. I mean, maybe a second division club in Germany might take him. I don't know. Yeah, I can't see the type of club that he would fit into. His attitude just stinks. And for me, it is completely all wrong. Let me do a quick update. There's no way are we really going to go for Penrith. He's no chance. Oh, Jesus. His agent has shut down talks about him going across the city. Said it's not happening. He's not going across the city. James Penrith. But they have said nothing about Celtic. Nah, I don't think so. Hope not. And plus, he's the wrong age, Penrith, I think. Nah. If that's it, I think you should all just chuck it. Brewer and Hatate have near enough exact playing style, same build and same height, says Michelle. So it looks like that he could be a replacement for Rio Hatate then. Just hope we get Rio Hatate. I mean, who's going to go for Rio? That is the big one. We've had 7.2 million coming in for players so far. Add Maeda, and that's 17.2 million. We should be spending more than what we have so far. Hopefully, some more incomings this week. Well, we know the 3 players that are potentially coming in this week. But it's like you say, you've got to wait until it is officially released by Celtic. Just for laughs, Barry, just then, what's going on at Parkhead? Nothing. It's after 6 o'clock. Nicholson will be at home eating his succulent lamb and tatties, and Martin O'Neill will be at the pub with Celtic fan media. It's OAP night midweek, isn't it? It used to be back in the clubs back in the day. Do we need Scottish players to fill our quota? I think we do, Stephen. Because we lost Stephen Welsh. But then we've got... because Dane Murray was always in the Champions League squads as well. So I think that we do actually need a couple of players in. Yeah, I think it is. I think he is a Rangers fan. Would we call Rio a luxury player? That's an interesting one for Gav Boy. Would you call Rio a luxury player? I'm not too sure about luxury. Maybe lazy. I've got your words mixed up. So you were thinking luxury, and really you meant lazy. I'm okay with Pence as backup to KT. Um, Am I late? Is Casper Ho likely? I think that's the one that we're all sitting waiting on. A bit of confirmation for that one. I'm not too sure. But you never know. Celtic could pull out a striker that we haven't even been speaking about all summer. German boys, more style of Rio Hitati, not Engels. Engels and the German boy would be great midfield for us. German being the 6 and Engels as the 8. That's an interesting thought. But with Arnie Engels having his agent at Celtic Park at the weekend for the Middlesbrough game, I think that is highly unlikely that he will be staying as a Celtic player. But then again, if his agent's been talking to clubs and clubs are saying we're kind of put off by the fee, I don't know, it could be the fact that whilst Celtic are wanting 25 million for the player, it's maybe that teams are going, we're going to hang off and see if we could just push Celtic towards the end of the transfer window. Celtic don't need to sell Arnie Engels, but I think that we all know that we are away. But we'll wait and see. Kenny was a Rangers fan. Don't care if we buy a Rangers fan as long as they give it 100% for us, says Stephen Sloan. Rio was a luxury player, but his attitude changed and he lost any passion or hunger. He checked out 2 years ago and was just coasting. I think he did that. He just checked out. Ho is worth around 20 million plus, says Paul. Drop these want-aways to train with the kids. I think that's been disrespectful to the kids. I think that you should get the kids in training with the first team and do what they did to David Beckham at Real Madrid. David Beckham was training himself. If I was Martin O'Neill, you need a set of balls, Martin. And if Rio Hitati doesn't want to be here, and he's told you he doesn't want to be here, and he's not performing, and he's spitting the dummy out, make him train on his own with one of his... He speaks English, by the way. That's nonsense that Rio Hitati doesn't speak English. He does. Lazy and petulant would be best to describe Hitati. I'm going to leave that one. Celts for life. I think that you've got it right. We are going to try and fumble our way through this season the same as last. Martin is there to keep the peace. I hope we're not just fumbling about this season. I hope that we're not just, making do with Martin O'Neill. Gives you every start on Brewer. Yeah, we had that, but that was I don't have that facility on here tonight. Yeah, I had the heat map and everything last night. The heat map for Brewer. I had it on the live last night, but I'm using different software and I haven't uploaded it. Can I upload it? Let me just see. Image, there we go. Find the image. God, you make me do work. Where is the heat map? I've lost it. See, I do that much stuff on a daily basis and I can't find the heat map from last night. Let me just go back into this, and I'll get the heat map back. Don't worry. Trying to find. I'll get these two stats. Save the downloads. Save the downloads. Browse. Right, here's the first one. Here is the first one that has stats. That's terrible. It's taking a weird shape on the screen. Yeah, it shows some of his stats. Let's change that. Properties, browse. Save to downloads. Save. That's already been saved. Browse. Where the hell is it? There, it's there. And there is the other one. Why is that sitting so bloody weird? See, this new software. You're making me do stuff in new software that I haven't worked out yet. I'll get that sorted for later on. Anyway, I don't think we'll get Hassan for 10 million, says Brian. Dribble success 0. Oh, that's an interesting one. Unless there are 3 or 4 new boys in the squad for Flag Day, nobody should be attending. Send a message. No more. Stand up if you hate the board or tennis balls. People won't. Oh, that's an interesting one. Because we've got just under 2 weeks till Flag Day. So, I mean, Celtic are going to get in 3 players by then. So, I think that, yeah, it'll be fine. But it's more, 3 and 4 players is not what we need. We've lost something like 14 players from the squad. You know, the squads are way down on what it was. Anyway, that's it. Right, anyway, that is me done and dusted for this evening. Thank you to everyone who has been on the live tonight. How do I clear that chat? Do that. There we go, get rid of it. I've got some stuff that I need to go and do. He's not a ball runner, says Hoops. Oh, that's even worse. Transfers are a symptom of actually the wrong with Celtic at the moment. The whole board needs to go. Yeah, the whole board does need to go, but how do we get rid of the board? That is the big question. Just for laughs says, Barry said to you a few months ago that Dermot was sabotaging our club because of the AGM with his son. Let's talk about that later on. For me, I'm done and dusted tonight. Thank you to everyone who has been on the channel tonight, and I shall see you all later on. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around.